Dave. Hey, Davin. Welcome back, everybody. I am excited. Why am I excited, guys? Because we're talking Class L probes tonight. Davin, Dave's show where we launch probes. We launch a bunch of probes, but it's three probes. But this is the show where we take the debate 9 concept and actually take those ideas and debates and go a little deeper into them. And I'm excited about this tonight because we've got some 3 great topics. And always great to have my 2 colleagues with me on this one, Davin and Dave. We started this, 2 years ago? Maybe 3 now?
3 now.
3, yeah.
At least.
And we don't do it enough. We don't do
I mean, we do it more than any other show on Luke Heroes of Trek now, so this is basically the flagship show now.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm happy about that. We could do it way more. Just finding the time between the 3 of us is sometimes difficult. So absolutely. Happy to be here. We've got some great topics tonight, as I said, and
we are green blood brothers after all.
Even though it's true, it's like herding queues out here to get us in one place.
Yeah, you know what though, we do pretty good. And Sunday night seems to be a good time for us. It was about a month ago we did this again, I think, or last time.
I think so.
So happy to be back with you. And look, we have the Narduzzi tonight with us.
Oh, is Heather here? What's up, Heather? Right. Excited for the deep dive. Well, Heather, you can join us anytime.
Indeed.
All right.
Actually, we could do that and just shave them down a bit, 15 minutes each, and do a
absolutely.
I don't know if you've met my co-tutor of Trek, but shave it down a bit.
That's never been my strong suit. Actually, neither of our strong suits.
Neither of us.
I keep you guys on track. We always finish in the hour. Come on.
Good.
Well, there you go. That's why you're the host.
All right, let's go.
All right.
So with that, let's not take too much time wasting here at the beginning. So I'd like to start with Dave tonight.
All right.
You know what? Me too.
It's going to be an awesome one, I'm sure.
Oh, Captain Adam, as we call him
is
tonight.
The truest infinity. Oh, we gotta wait. Oh, we gotta launch the thing. I can't read it. We gotta launch
you're right. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, you gotta. We forgot the last 2 times to start this off with a launch.
It's true.
Probes. Where are the probes? Did we come to the probes with no probes?
Oh no. My God.
That would never have happened.
Class 1, a Class 2, a Class 3, or a Class 4 probe.
Did you guys hear that?
Yes.
Then let's go.
All right. Is the truest infinity in Star Trek?
We're double launching her.
Oh no!
All right. Go again.
All right. Sorry. Is the truest infinity in Star Trek the interiority of the self?
All right. I remember having to debate this one, and this is one of Dave Puxley's classic Debate 9 wordings, where he likes to just throw a couple words in there to make sure at the end of the debate he can say, well, that's not what my question was at all. So, Dave, I would love to know what you meant by this.
I have no idea, and I'm dying to know too.
So
I think I debated
the question itself is ultimately occasioned by the best episode in the whole Picard series, which is the pilot, at least in the first 2 seasons. Let's be honest about that, where he's talking to the lovely robot android lady before she gets destroyed. He says, "Have you ever been she says, "Have you ever been a stranger to yourself?" And he says, "Many, many times." And it,
great line.
That was just such a wonderful thing because he's been he's lived the lifetime of the inner light. He's been Locutus of Borg. He's been an archaeologist. He's been a captain. He's been all sorts of things, right? Just a brother in a cornfield covered in mud, weeping because he wasn't strong enough,
What was the character where he lived the life in 20 minutes?
Exact. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Who's that? And that, O'Brien has that happen to him too, doesn't he? With the
that was just sad. What happens to O'Brien?
That was a brutal one, yeah. Yeah, I mean Picard gets a much better ride through that.
He gets a family. He learns how to play the flute.
His whole planet kind of dies at the end.
Well, there's that.
Let me see if I can find
there it is.
Put in here. in the other thing is about something from the Port Royal school, and a thing in a conversation between Foucault and Chomsky from 1971.
You're bringing Chomsky into this? Okay, this is going to be fun.
No, Foucault, not Chomsky.
Okay, pardon me.
But yeah, close. So it's, where does he say this? There's this moment that he says this beautiful thing about oh well, anyway, he talks about the sort of this interiority of the self that has these sort of folds and involutions to it that we see displayed over and over again in Star Trek, right? This sense that we fundamentally don't even know the entirety of ourselves inwardly, right? There's things that are coming out of us. That wonderful moment where Data may well have been discharging that disintegrator pistol as he was beamed away.
Oh,
right?
He was.
It's just left as like one of the great, right? And they just leave it hanging there because it's pretty clear that he was about to fire on him, but he never really gets to, right? Some of those moments in Star Trek, to me, what it really is all about, because those strange new worlds and civilizations are as much us. Thank you, Heather. They're as much what happens inside us and who we become as what we meet out there. And that is what I've always loved about Star Trek stories, is that they show that inner outer relationship so powerfully in how the characters interact.
So I guess when you were like thinking up this question, like in your mind, like the obvious truest infinity in Star Trek is space and time, I guess. Like
sure, yeah,
that's what they're exploring in like like so I guess that's like what we're comparing is like the truest infinity in Star Trek, like time and space and the exploration of that, or is it the exploration within? Is that what we're arguing here?
And we sometimes run into bad infinities like temporal paradoxes or Nagilum. He seems like a pretty bad infinity in that sense, because he can kind of do anything he wants. And Q falls in a similar category that way, right? So yeah, there's a lot of things that seem unlimited.
But when there's a lot of unlimited. But the nice thing about the series and the concept of and even like original series to Next Gen to Voyager to Deep Space to Enterprise, whatever it means, is whether it's an episodic show like sort of Next Gen was compared to Discovery, and not everybody was a big fan of Discovery. There is, and I think it's harder actually in the episodic seasons to have a continuous underlying arc of some story and growth of a character, Dave, that you discussed here. Because like I think that the writers have done a heck of a job in all of these series in staying true to something about a character through it, whether they evolve or whether they don't, or whether they de-evolve, I think. And you're right. I mean, that reference to Data, I mean, that was so unlike him to break that, to go into that character where he actually pressed the button. And would he have killed Kivas Faggio, right? Would he have done it? Because that's almost like a de-evolution of that character and that self of Data. To be
it's absolutely fascinating, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the writers there, Adam, because all right, how about this, fellas? So are we talking in-world or out-world? Because I think if we're talking about the writers of Star Trek and things like that, then I think the truest infinity in Star Trek is definitely the interiority of itself, because that's kind of what storytelling is. And like, what?
Yeah, no. You made a great point, and you sparked something. Keep going.
Okay. But in world, like as far as like personal exploration and experiencing as much life as possible and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for the characters in that world, for Starfleet officers, I don't think that should be their truest infinity. I
Okay.
think it's like a human. You could, traditionally you just live atop a mountaintop, and that's how you like explore the inner workings of the human mind. Like, I think if you're out into, perhaps this is a thought, if you're out into space and you're trying to, I think when you're out there trying to experience other cultures on other planets and other parts of space, things that are so different, maybe making it about you isn't the best way of doing that. Like, in the end,
Okay.
maybe it should be a more open kind of, I don't know, just take it in, open.
Sure. I suppose my question is, who's taking it in, and what are you bringing with you?
Yeah, well, absolutely. So,
here it is.
what did I spark? What did I spark?
So, oh yeah. So, oh, I don't remember now. Cripes.
You're talking about writers at the beginning.
It's when I was talking about.
Oh yeah, no, the dreamer in the dream.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
It takes us right beyond the stars and the collapse of the writer into the writing itself, right? If we're going to take it to its total logical extent, right? Because we actually step into a writer's room there and back to DS9. But here it is. So in this part, this is a crazy ass debate on Dutch TV that was undertaken in French and in English and in Dutch, because the moderator was this dude Fons Elders, who spoke French and English and Dutch. So he would talk to the audience in Dutch, and he'd talk to Foucault in French, and he'd talk to Chomsky in English. It was amazing. Anyway, like, you don't
Dutch
get that
is a myth, and I don't care what anyone says. Anyway, continue.
Dutch is a myth. So this is fascinating. So Chomsky here was talking about like the sort of more what you're talking about in some ways, Dev, in that sense of like, well, shouldn't we be looking out at things and make that our primary orientation? And
of course,
Foucault,
there's a
while
like,
not
what is the
saying
receptor
no to
of all
that,
that? Like
like Foucault doesn't really say no to that, but what he says is, what I think is happening with that is here. On the contrary, you can find, I think, at the same time, in Pascal and Leibniz, something which is much closer to what you're looking for. In other words, in Pascal and in the whole Augustinian stream of Christian thought, you find this idea of a mind in profundity, a mind folded back in the intimacy of itself, which is touched by a sort of unconsciousness, and which can develop its potentialities by the deepening of the self. And I guess in that sense, going out to those strange new worlds ends up deepening and making those people more,
I think so
interesting
too,
and realized, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And in that sense, I mean, that was the reason why Foucault was always sort of experimenting with their own consciousness and experience in that sense, right? And to me, that's why they go together so well, right? Like that,
So
the going out is also a going in. Yeah,
I'm wondering, in reality, in the real world,
sure.
If you lack experience or lack experiences, not experience, experiences, does yourself become diminished or just less, or is it? I'm wondering here because if you threw it to the Star Trek world, they're going to experience a heck of a lot of different things and see things and be exposed to things. But somebody on Earth who maybe live in a small little village and is a farmer, say, where your life experiences are different than another person, or maybe somebody who travels across the country and does stuff like what? Where does
I would ask, what are you doing?
Where does
with
that
your
self fall?
Experiential time.
What'd you say?
I would say, what are you doing with your non-experiential time? Like, what are you thinking about? I would ask. But also, those things you're talking about, like if you're just farming every day, as someone who likes to farm, and like, there's endless amounts of things you can learn.
That's why I said it, actually, Davin, because
so it's just different. I think
it's a different.
Yeah, and I think the sense in which Star Trek does it for me is as a science fiction, right? That we can take that sense of exploration and wonder and explode it out to 1,000 star systems. you know, and lots of different species and exciting things that way. And partly we kind of write themes from our own world out to that spot a lot of the time, right? You can isolate something out into this kind of sphere of imagination that you can then explore without it necessarily having all the ramifications it does here. You know, you can kind of isolate something a little bit. And that to me is lovely, right? And that it's a person writing right now who doesn't have any spaceships or warp drives is also like the beauty of it, right? Because that is just as Mark Twain or Guy working in a field, pulling his hose, singing a song, as it is, you know, about actually having spaceships or anything like that. Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
I guess,
That's a really wonderful
hmm.
insight. Yeah.
I guess the only thing I was saying with my earlier point, I think, was I've always been kind of more of a lifist than a humanist in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to think maybe even space and time itself, but not just space and time itself, maybe even other life forms out there. I would like to think in the infinity that's most confronted in Star Trek, space and time, and other life, really. I think there's something out there probably deeper than us. I would like to think. So
that's a very interesting question. Deeper than us, but I think that we all control our own self, really, and how you learn from what your experiences are, and whether it can be in a field or, you know, whatever you do. Because I think you're right. You can have the most interesting life in the world and most plentiful experiences, but like, do you do anything with those, Dave? You know,
and again, I don't maybe just even believe what I just said, because like I said, I'm more of a lifist. I think a salamander is probably deeper than some humans I've met. So like, I met some deep salamanders.
There's a wisdom there, though, right? Like,
but
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, wisdom. I think that's it right there. It's the wisdom, what you take and what you've experienced and what you do with it. And you know, I know you guys. Well, you probably picked up over the years is that I'm fascinated with, you know, Star Trek is very on the, especially Next Gen, is very on the positive side of things, and what, you know we learn, we've evolved, we're this great society, doesn't no monies. But when you hear about like the Dominion War and like what, like the Pegasus crooks, but you know, when that episode to me was one of the best, because it says this is not all peachy and keen. We have bad shit we live through, and there's you know, post-traumatic stress syndrome that we deal with, and there's unanswered questions, and there's people who are lost, friends, and it's just amazing to me. Like that other episode where in Next Gen again, where Q introduces them to the Borg, and you see, you know, 18 crew members blown out into space. First time we ever saw anybody killed, really, in that series.
Yeah.
What does that do to self? You know?
Yeah. And you know, are those experiences yeah, do they make us deeper? Do they break us? Do they shatter us into pieces? Sometimes they do all those things, right? Look what it did to Cisco. You know,
there's a great
that
evolution.
sort of a moment does a lot to Cisco. Yeah.
Beyond my salamander comment, like I would be willing.
And I do like it that you went like warp 10 and took it to salamanders, right?
I did, in a different kind of salamanders
nice
too. I wasn't even. I was thinking more like a spotted salamander. But yeah, so I would be willing to believe that, like, all, like, salamander comment aside, like that all, like, the life forms that we see interacting in Star Trek, that the sentient life, as they would term it, that sentience is in fact a baseline that they all share, and like, so it's like anything beyond that is kind of cultural and individual and species, as far as how long you can have, like how far you can get beyond just that baseline. But like, so like, so maybe like that whole thing about other species being more deep than us, maybe that's not even really a thing. Maybe like that there's like a baseline there that, like, you know what I mean? There's like a ground that we all should.
Well, and in that sense, that's part of the other side of it, right? Like, what is it to have a self?
Yeah.
Right. And one of the things that is also around Star Trek is that we have to take, like, that is sort of the prime directive. If it has a self, we have to take it seriously. And
yes, but also learning that the self is not limited to a human or
even a bag of mostly water, right?
That's exactly where I was going.
Yeah.
Yes, and so why not a salamander? Why not a salamander, right? I mean, honestly,
absolutely. So, why not a dang dinosaur or a cloud or something, right? Well, I think Medusans are just described as a region of color that drives you mad, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I was just going to wrap this up here. Now, I'm not sure where Dave was standing on this. This is a question rather than a statement. So,
well, that's how we do it.
For me, I'm absolutely there. Right, I love this kind of stuff. I'm with like Rupert Sheldrake speculating whether the sun can have is conscious or not. Like, I don't know if it is or not, but it's a fun thing to think about. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you myself. Yes. I mean, this is what makes it all fun to me, and that you can continue to watch these series over and over again. And you know, Next Gen is now how many years gone? 30,
nearly 40 since it started.
Yeah, 40 since it started almost. And you know, I still see things and hear something different. You know, I had the opportunity recently to listen to the Kevious Fagy. I can't remember what was the name of that episode.
Most toys.
Most toys.
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to listen to it, actually, rather than to watch it. Just listen to it. It was a different experience.
Huh.
Saul Rubinek would be great to just listen to, and like
he's got such a. He's got such a voice. Like, he's such a defining voice. You know. So yes, he was fun to listen to. So
yeah, what an episode.
Well, and my day with you guys on this one. Yeah, I think I came back around with, like, we all have the same kind of self. So, sure, why not? But I don't know. I struggle with the infinity aspect of it a little bit, because time and space are pretty infinite, and
that's true.
Maybe, maybe
kind of ignored
myself and see the same infinity one day. Who knows if I haven't already? Who knows? All right, I'm with you guys on that one. How about
okay, awesome. Let's skip to mine. We'll come to yours as the final one tonight. I'm really interested to talk to you on this one tonight.
So yours is next. All right, let's launch a probe.
Launch away.
We should destroy the probe.
War.
There's always one. All right, let's try that again.
Very high standard. You can't blame him for that, I suppose.
And it's true. That one made it through. Well, he doesn't like all this talk. It makes more uncomfortable. It's like, you guys agreed again. All right.
That's true.
We've been agreeing a lot lately, but you know, it's okay.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're all very convincing and handsome gentlemen.
It's a curse. What can you do?
Okay, be it resolved. Do Spock and McCoy have a deeper friendship than Spock and Kirk? So I sat on this one. I read this one the other day, and then I sat on it over the weekend, and I was really thinking about this. But you know, if you would have taken the original series and then a motion picture, Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, motion pictures, Wrath of Khan, and stop there, I would have probably said no. The ending of Wrath of Khan was so meaningful to so many people and so emotional. I think that connection that Spock and Kirk had, you know, as he was dying in that whatever chamber.
I don't know.
Whatever it was, what he was doing in there, you know.
In there.
He was in there,
That's it.
burnt and whatever, blinded and whatever, all gooey.
Just he's a busy little
See,
guy.
that's the scene I invoked. See, I had to debate this one in debate 9, contrary to what I believe to be true, which was I had to debate for Kirk and Spock, and I actually don't think that's true. But that's what I brought up. I was just like, I will always be your friend, and I tried to get some tears flowing, and that's all I had really. But
that brings a lot of tears to a lot of people, and even so far as even in the Kelvin universe when they redid it, flipping it, with Kirk dying, it was all very interesting. Oh, okay, I know your feelings on this, but it was emotional to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
However, once you pass Wrath of Khan and you get in Search of Spock, where you find out the Katra is now being passed over to McCoy, that changes the game because they're one person now. And how can you not have a deeper friendship than that? As when you shared,
even before then, I think you could have even made an argument.
Why is that?
But well, they always make it because I forgot about that, and that makes it almost very convincing. But Kirk and Spock, for one thing, they do have a very. It's more of a captain first officer kind of relationship. Like they do have a friendship, but like Spock and McCoy never. They drop all that immediately upon meeting, apparently, because there's no rank and file among those two.
No, they just bicker like an odd couple right from go, right?
Like but the odd couple are also the best of friends.
They are.
That movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
like Simon and Felix. Like come on, like exactly right.
Yeah.
Like they're that. Like they're over emphasize their differences to each other on purpose, like because they actually are quite alike in a lot of ways. But they do that because they admire that thing that the other doesn't have, and they have it more. Like they always play off how Spock sort of admires how Kirk can, be emotional, but still like channel that emotion to do but like McCoy's that even more in a lot of ways, at least on the emotional front.
So again, Katra aside, even the way that they debate and challenge each other, I think helps them grow as you're talking about the evolution of self. Some people in your life are very influential, as you know, and I think that they became so influential on each other and really helped each other evolve into where they were at the end of the series or the end of whenever the movies ended. And the other thing I would find about Kirk and Spock is they also really irritated each other, like legitimately. And if you go to Undiscovered,
Spock or McCoy and Spock,
Kirk and Spock, sorry,
Kirk and Spock, that's what you said.
When you get to the point where in Undiscovered Country, which I also recently watched, was that scene where they're at the chief of Starfleet's table. You vouch for me. You didn't even talk to me about this. There wasn't even a respect from Spock to give Kirk a heads up that this was coming in that meeting, and something he'd been working on forever. Like that enraged Kirk, and I think it pushed the relationship back at that beginning of that movie.
Yeah, because they're not really that close in that way. Like they're the best of friends in like the best like captain first officer pairs we see are like where they have this bond on that level. They trust each other implicitly. Like there's a trust there. Like right. You may probably trust Kirk more than McCoy, but that's not necessarily a friendship.
Well, that's kind of what's been coming to me listening to you guys. It's like they're two different facets of friendship. One is like camaraderie. Like Spock and Kirk in that sense are sort of in the trenches together on in various ways. They're both sort of on the bridge doing their thing. They're in command of this starship together. They have this wonderful, fruitful, feisty professional relationship. But I think you're right. Spock and McCoy connect on a personal level. Maybe it's because their stations on the ship are sort of closer to level, and that makes it a little easier in the authority structures that we're seeing. But at the same time, I feel like McCoy and Spock are able to connect exactly through that contrariety, right? They're like, oh, this person is, and I'm sure, I
Not
think it
like
really
me.
does. But honestly, it started out as like, that person drives me crazy. I need to challenge why they're that way. But that challenge itself is just an invitation to a kind of like, they almost like roughhouse verbally a lot of the time.
Oh, never mind. Heather's got it all.
Oh, now that's an
Kirk and
interesting
Spock are
one.
lovers, and Spock and McCoy are friends.
McCoy are
Yes,
friends.
exactly. I was actually going to make that point, Heather. So it's
Ah.
funny that you did that. Kirk and Spock come off more like a couple dating, but yeah.
Like they have a kind of infatuation.
Like
With
how
each
often
other.
have we seen in Starfleet an officer talk to a superior officer the way McCoy talks to Spock, where they weren't like super good friends?
Are you talking McCoy to Spock or Spock to Kirk?
No, McCoy to Spock. Like McCoy's third in command.
McCoy is not, because McCoy sits outside the chain of command.
Not even. Yeah, he's outside of the chain of command, but he's like, yeah, fair point. But he's still like kind of a superior officer. It's kind of like the way that Chief O'Brien will talk to Julian, even though Julian's his superior officer. Yeah, like, even though he's outside the chain.
Yeah. I see what you mean.
But I think they're. I mean, whether or not they're best of friends, I mean, they're also like served 20, 30 years together. They have a relationship. You know, there's. You know, there's going to be something there that they can go above and beyond chain of command.
And there's other similarities between the two of them too, right? Spock and McCoy both have this on again, off again relationship with Starfleet, right?
That's true too.
Spock goes to teach, or he goes to be an ambassador, or he goes to do this or that. Kolinar. McCoy goes off to just
get away from Starfleet.
Planets, right? He's like, screw you guys, I'm going off to a colony world, and I'm just going to do medicine for a while.
Whereas Kirk, when he's pissed off with Starfleet, he just sits in Admiralty. He's like, I'm pissed. I'll just be an admiral.
Yeah.
He's a lifer, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then he'll break some rules.
Yeah, and in that sense, there's sort of more to both Spock and McCoy's interests and their horizons in that sense than Starfleet. And Kirk is so laser focused. That really is sort of his horizon, you know? Not because he's naturally narrow, but I think he focuses on it.
So let me just, I think we're all on the same page here, but let me just bring this back, because when you get to Voyage Home, you know, when they're really determining that they got to get Spock out of McCoy, it's too late. Like, they are one now. And I love that scene where they don't show McCoy's face; you just hear him talking like Spock. You know, in the dark there, and that to me, you know, they at this point they're one.
And having been one, exactly, and now become in some sense two again.
But you can't break apart.
What's that like for you, right? What's that like? I mean, it feels almost like trail joining, right? But without, you know, the death if you take the symbiote out. You know, that can actually come apart again.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're agreed on this point that kind of intimacy of the interiority of the self is anyway.
Oh, you're gonna make mine about that too.
So we're gonna have to figure that out.
But I think it does make a bond that's necessarily deeper, and maybe that's their challenge. They have to figure out what to do with that in ways that Spock and Kirk and Spock and Kirk and McCoy never really have to do. They have to work with.
But again, like you break it down to the strength of the writers for the years, you know, from the 60s, the original series, and then the movies. Like they were true to that relationship, and then they really took a stretch further, because they could have had him meld with Scotty, or you know, they could have done anything else. But I think the choice to meld with McCoy was very, very smart, because it's complete opposite. You know, they're also very opposite.
Well, and it's so true to all those fruitful possibilities you feel in their interactions. Exactly.
Yeah.
He just thought McCoy had room left up in his brain to hold them all.
No, but who would be most pissed off? But who would be most pissed off to be like, oh, you what? You put my
Oh yeah, it's such a like thing you do to a
pointy
friend.
eared
It's like,
bastard. Exactly. Oh man.
yeah, I think
And it's
we're agreed.
absolutely the kind of joke that Spock loves to do to McCoy.
Yeah,
Like the moments he really gets McCoy in the original series are really delightful that way. Because he totally shows like this sense of humor that again is deployed specifically to confound McCoy.
And I think McCoy just doesn't understand his sense of humor either, and that's another great thing is that you can see the playfulness that Vulcan Spock has over McCoy through the ear. It's just his own little private joke that he has with him, I think. So anyway, I think we can move on from this one, Davin, and take it back to you and see how this all come together, all three of us together in our blood brothers here, our Vulcan blood brothers.
Indeed.
Oh, you got a good probe launched.
Successful.
yep. Do alien characters lose something as they become more human? Which happens to all of them as they go through their series. Data, if you count Data becomes more human. Odo becomes more human. You know, the Doctor becomes more human. He's not an alien, but Worf becomes more human. Spock becomes more human. They all do.
So in some ways, I'd also
Do they
argue
become
they
more
also
interesting or
become
less?
more themselves.
Yeah, maybe.
Because Odo ends up back in the Great Link.
True.
Worf has this mad, majestic sort of exploration of Klingon culture through DS9. Data's a harder argue on this point, but I think those two at least there's other parts of them expanding as well, but I don't know yet if they're losing something as they become more human. I just thought, that there is an expansion in another dimension as well there.
So does this question mean? Sorry, Dave. I didn't mean to interrupt you. But
No, go ahead, please.
Does this question mean, Davin, that because they're immersed in human culture, they just become more human, or more human-like, or because they want to become here? Like, I was just curious on this.
Well, I think we see that, but that's not really. I don't think that what I was really getting at. It was more that like we have these characters in this space show, and we have the luxury of having characters that can be very different from humans, and rather than, which is what I was thinking at the time when I thought of this for a debate 9, rather than explore that and exploring those differences and showing how getting more into how different these other alien species are, it tends to go the other way, where they tend to get assimilated by the humans and become more human because like that's a better way to be, rather than like Spock doesn't become more Kirk doesn't become more Vulcan. Spock becomes more human, like it's always like, so like is that kind of missing the point of having alien characters, like rather than have them be different and like get into that. Like I think Ferengi almost do that the best. Like they interact around humans all the time, and there are some cases like Nog and stuff where maybe that's not the case, but Quark never becomes more human, really. He was always a little more less shrewd as like, some of them like Brunt or whatever, but he's still Ferengi through and through by the end of Deep Space Nine. like
that's for sure.
But
yeah,
but I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe that's not even true about Quark. But
I think it's an interesting question because it is, with Data, it's absolutely sort of a theme and a stated desire of the character. I want to be more human, and there it becomes just an interesting character. Can this guy ever
different case there, I guess, because he's actually striving for that.
But there's that lovely conversation between he and Worf about sort of belief in things where he explores that himself, right? He's like, I don't know if that's possible, but I believe I'm going to move in that direction. Maybe that's what I call faith or something like that, right? So he's but the discourse of the other characters around that project particularly like in the early seasons of TNG when they're talking about him wanting to become more human. I think I see what you're asking there, because they're talking about it as though obviously everyone wants to be human. Humans what everybody wants to be. And there may
I
well
feel like
be,
the aliens shouldn't think that way.
right? Like a Bolian should be like, no, everybody
Yeah.
wants to be Bolian, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
And I remember this, like when I spent time in Italy years ago, people from Piedmont would be like, no, everybody wants to be Piemontese. And people from Lombardy would be like, oh, no, fuck Piemontese. Everybody wants to be Lombard, right? Because we have the best potatoes, we have the best grapes, we have the best, like, clementines. We grow the best everything. We have the best countryside. We have the best people, right? Because they love where they're from. And it's this sort of like organic kind of nationalism, organic patriotism, whatever you want to call it. And in a certain sense, I agree with you, right? Like, why not love where you're from and be proud of, and say, of course, I grow in a great place. Everybody would want to be here. Even if at some other more rational level, obviously this doesn't have to apply to everyone. But I can say it because I like where I'm from. I really agree with you in that respect. Bolians should want to be Bolians, and Klingons should love being Klingons. Absolutely. And not feel in any way impinged upon by human values. Other than of course, if you're members of the Federation, then there may be a different question going on there. Because human values do profoundly shape the development of the Federation.
Yeah. And I feel like Data is a good example of this point. But like the whole point of these characters that are very unlike humans is obviously used narratively as a way to examine what it's like to be human and stuff like that. But it's just a very interesting way that you can do that. And I just wonder if, like, as the characters become more human-like, oftentimes, if it just removes that narrative tool, and like, because they have all of the other Starfleet characters that are human to explore that.
But they don't do a lot of it. They don't do a lot of it, and
they do with Chief O'Brien. but
it's almost like the characters we do see is because they're working with more humans than anything. Remember again, Undiscovered Country. Even human rights. The name implies racism.
Heather corrects us again.
For the win right there.
Sam Danielle.
Oh man. I'm guessing there may be a relation perhaps to the Narduzzi name there, but you never know.
Tread carefully, Dave.
Indeed. Che meraviglioso San Daniele.
Yeah. What do you guys think? So that basically is what I'm getting at with the narrative thing anyway. Just like, don't you want these characters that are super different just to work with that?
Well, let's take it another direction here. What about the characters who maintain their distinctness? Like I think of Shran, for instance. I think in Enterprise, that guy, he did not bend at all. He was himself.
Yeah.
A lot of Klingon characters never changed.
Like, how racist is it calling people pink skin all the time? He didn't care.
He didn't care.
Especially since, like, some of them don't even have pink skin. He's just like, no, you're all just pink skins to me.
You all look the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
But a great character. Like, it never changed. And again, some of the Klingon characters that never changed, right? Because and I think that was the strength of the
Gowron. Show. Gowron never stops being Gowron. That's for
never.
Sure.
Oh
yeah.
Man. Yeah. Yeah, I was
so
just
there are those
characters, that scene with him and Kalar where he's trying to bribe her. Right? Kembeck was old and weak.
Yeah.
Neither of those things. Ooh. Yeah. They're both so great. It's just like two cats in the jungle going at each other, right?
Kalar never changed. And in fact, that's a great example of something.
No. No, but she's half human already. But yeah.
And unfortunately, that was a character that I wish would have lasted a little longer than she did.
Same.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
need to
yeah.
be
Kalar
changed
could have
for-
become a regular on the series, and that would have been just fine.
Mm.
You know, even a semi-regular visitor. Yeah.
Yep. So, Davin, I think
So here's another angle to ask.
Yeah.
If alien characters are losing something as they become more human, what is it that they're losing? I really like your point about that sort of function as a narrative
Tool. basically.
tool,
Yeah.
right? Do they lose anything else?
That's what I'm wondering. And that's what I was wondering if it would come out in the debate 9 as well.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if that is really something that a character is losing, but I do come back to that, like a Bolian should want to be Bolian point that you made. Like, losing that, like, should, like, and do they though? Like, is Spock, as he, and he's half human again, as a bit like Worf's maybe a better example. Does Worf lose anything as he does become more human? Like in season 1 TNG, he's pretty hard edged. Like, and he even grew up around humans, but he's still like trying to play the Klingon, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he just becomes more and more human, where he's even pretty funny and has a pretty good sense of humor in Deep Space Nine. And like,
I can tell jokes.
yeah, like a subtle humor where he delivers it in a way where people don't know if he's joking or not. But do
you think in the movies they push him back towards the Klingon side of it?
I mean,
Hmm.
in some ways, none of the movies are great when it
Or
comes to the
even
characterization of the characters.
Picard, though. Picard, no, Picard. He was very much the character he left Next Generation or Deep Space Nine.
I think the one where he's the most different is First Contact, and you know that's part of what they're
action
trying to
hero
in that movie. It's like it's breaking him down.
Yeah,
exactly, and he just goes in weird directions. But yeah, I mean, you know, maybe the one we need to come back to actually is Data in the films, where they make an awful lot more use of the emotion chip. You know, and is that a place where that character whose struggle has been the potential impossibility of being more human, i.e., having an emotional life, which seems to be what being more human means to him, like having this sort of this rich emotional life that humans seem to experience. Does he lose something in that? Or does the character lose something?
I didn't enjoy when Data had the emotional chip. I didn't enjoy him as much personally. I think I liked because again, maybe this is going to swing me around. Well, actually, no, I already agree with this point. But the point is that when he became that emotional guy, the fear, like the one of the best lines in First Contact is when you can turn that off, and you know Picard leans over and goes, "Yeah,
done."
I wish I envy you sometimes, Data. You know, yes, because you can turn a fear off like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was great.
Oh yeah.
The way Picard delivers it.
That's pure Picard right there.
You, Mr. Data. So good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. What are you thinking then, Adam? You think they lose something?
I think they don't become more human. I think they're immersed in human culture, and it just happens.
Yeah. That's the reason they become more human.
Yeah, I think that. So yes, I mean, look, the character, some of the strong alien characters we've seen over the years were much more interesting when they first were introduced to us. You know, you get to know them a little bit, and to your point, Dave and Davin, you know, the characters that held their cultural distinctiveness, like Gowron, for instance, or Kalar, I think were stronger characters than me. We all know what humans are like. I don't think we need to see more of it. And I now like would Gen be a better show?
You can take that in a lot of ways.
What was that?
I know we know what humans are like. I don't think we need to see more of that. That was a wonderful statement right there.
Yeah, I was just like, touche. This is like,
yeah, we
go
know.
On.
We know. And should Worf have been more Klingon through the whole series, and would it been and challenging to Picard to manage? Or would we have just got tired of him wanting to fight everybody?
That's a good question too.
Well,
yeah.
No, but see, that's the thing. I feel like then you explore those differences more, and you get into the reasons why he is that way and things like that, rather than just stop him from being that way. And
maybe that's what we see in terms of how the show.
Worf, we do. I mean, we get a lot of time with him. Worf's
But you're right though. He became much more interesting on Deep Space Nine than he was on Next Gen. I liked his character. I liked it. I liked him in First Contact. I thought he was again way more dynamic and multi dimensional than he was on the show. He became in the show. He was almost just written as a joke.
Except
he's sort of supposed to be written as like the Superman that can be overcome, right?
Yeah.
Like if that thing's stronger than Worf, it must be really strong. But that just happens to Worf all the time.
Yeah, he's always like the weakest, and the Starfleet security is the worst on the Enterprise. Like somebody's always barging in and taking over. Like he didn't do a good job.
Firing phasers, no, Mr. Worf. Like they just like, exactly, just like that never learns.
So Davin, to answer your question, I'm sold. I think that they lost their distinctiveness, and we all, like I said, we all know how humanity operates.
We will take your distinctiveness as our own.
Yes.
Ooh. And in that sense, we come right back to a stool at Quark's, right? Talking about root beer. Man.
If Morn would shut the hell up.
That's right.
He kept his distinctness. He kept his distinctness.
Yeah, he did. He's great. We love Morn.
What a ladies' man.
Most definitely. I mean, those two little hairs are adorable.
That's one of my favorite episodes of Deep Space Nine, where they go looking for Morn's money. Oh, man.
That's pretty fun too. Yeah.
What a great episode!
It's just in his stomach the whole time.
Yeah. No, I think in the end, I think
which they say is why he lost all his hair, so you can actually see the other people of Morn species actually have these big full heads of hair that we've never seen. Like to think of that is pretty.
I love that
funny.
suggestion as well.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So I really want to see another Lurian that doesn't look like him.
Yeah, I know somebody with like crazy, like luscious locks, right? No, I mean honestly, I think that's what it's called. Who mourns for Morn? Thank you, man. You've been really, you've been killing it this episode.
Yeah, Heather's helpful.
I think we should just bring her into the next one and have a stuff for her.
I think
she said she was covered in cats, so she would have joined us.
Oh man, covered in cats. That sounds like a pretty great fate.
Okay,
it's not the worst.
Talk about little aliens that don't lose anything.
No, cats never become more human. Dogs do, but cats no.
That's true.
They do not.
My dog is currently wearing a sweater.
They do indeed maintain their own distinctness and
absolutely.
Yes,
I've come to realize
I think there is something to be said about this losing something.
They're quite chickeny.
Okay, guys. So listen, we've now come through full circle here. Three probes launched, and we agreed. It wasn't much debate tonight, but
that's not what we do here. That's debate 9. Here
it was a good discussion again. I always enjoy these. Like I really do. And spending an hour with you guys talking about Star Trek, couldn't have a better evening. Way to end the weekend on a Sunday. So thank you guys.
Indeed.
Well said. Well,
Davin, you want to take it home?
Sure, you can email us at thecutesoftreck@gmail.com. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, or wherever you get your podcasts. And we are a proud part of the Swear to Pod Network.
That is true.
And now there's only one thing left to say.
There are 4 lights. No, and transmission.